Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for coming out here today to the Private Acts Committee. And today is Monday, March the 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day. And glad to have you all here. And I hereby call the Private Acts Committee to order. And members, please log in if you haven't done also. Is everybody logged in, ready to go? And clerk, would you please take, no, wait just a minute. I'm sorry. You good, Representative Himmer? Okay. Oh, I need to sign in too. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 members present. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And we're having personal orders before we begin today. Anyone? Okay, well, I do. I have a guest of honor today. We're going to have a little reception for him after session today. I have Senator Mark Daly from Ireland. He's the head of the Ireland Senate and the Charte de la Nation. What do you? I can't pronounce the correct term in Irish. Yes. And then there's another word too after that. That's it. I know. I've been practicing all morning and still can't do it. But thank you for being here. Thank you for flying here from Ireland to celebrate St. Patrick's Day with us. And I know you'll be flying back tomorrow, but we're glad to have you today and look forward to spending the rest of the day with you. So thank you for being here. Oh, and Representative Hall. I'm sorry, Chairman Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To our guest, my daughter has traced our lineage back to County Cork, but I try to remind her that we're not a bunch of horse thieves. So you'll have to tell me about the folks from County Cork before we get done with our meeting later today. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Senator Daly is from County Cork, originally born there. I am too, by the way. My ancestry goes back to County Cork. And the term powers in Ireland means poor. And it means the same thing here in the U.S. too. So, and they're just County Cork, right, is where you were born? Okay, yes. So we have a lot of Irish in Tennessee. I think about 34% of the population, I believe. Oh, yeah, we are cousins. That's right. Anyone else? Before we get started. Okay, so our first bill today is House Bill 1420 by Chairman Hicks. We've got a motion and a second. Chairman Hicks, you are recognized for.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. House Bill 1420 was actually sent to me by the town of Rogersville, and it just simply authorizes holding of an advisory, non-binding referenda.
Okay, thank you. And you have a resolution too from them, the 2/3 vote. So
yes, sir,
thank
that's
you
correct.
For doing that. We have questions for Chairman Hicks for the sponsor. Anyone? If not, are we ready to vote? And so we're going to be voting on House Bill 1420. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote nay. And anyone wish to change their vote? We lost one person, didn't we? Anyone wish to change their vote? And will the clerk please call the vote? Total, I should say.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes.
Okay, thank you. So House Bill 1420, and it goes on to state and local government. Thank you, Hicks.
Thank you, Chairman, committee.
Okay, item number 2 on today's calendar is by House Bill 1418 by Chairman Boyd. We have a motion and a second. And I think we have a 2/3 resolution too on this one. And thank you for doing that. And Chairman Boyd, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Lebanon Special School District is one of those special school districts in the state, and they currently have a 3-member board, and they want to expand that to a 5-member board. And as you mentioned, they did a resolution and it passed 2/3. So, Mr. Chairman, I move for passage, please.
Okay, thank you. And we have questions for the sponsor. Anyone? No questions, so we're ready to vote on House Bill 1418. And let's put it on the board. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote nay. And will the clerk please call the vote total?
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes.
Okay. House Bill 1418 passes, and you're off to state and local government.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chairman.
Chairman.
Committee, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3 in today's calendar, House Bill 1423 by Representative Hurt. And we have a motion and a second, and we also have a 2/3 resolution on this one. So Chairman Hurt, you're recognized on this bill, 1418.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Committee. House Bill 1423
1423,
provides for the orderly transfer of the probate and juvenile court in Lauderdale County from the county courthouse to the justice complex. It also, upon expiration of the full term of the judge presiding over the probate and juvenile court in Lauderdale County, the probate and juvenile court of Lauderdale County shall be dissolved immediately and its jurisdiction and duties transferred as follows. Transfers jurisdiction of the probate court matters to the Chancery Court and probate-related clerk duties to the Chancery Court clerk. Transfers jurisdiction of juvenile court matters to the General Sessions clerk and juvenile-related clerk duties to the General Sessions Court clerk. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll take any questions.
Okay, and thank you for that explanation. And we have questions for the sponsor. Anyone? Well, if not, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1423. So let's put it on the board. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote nay. And anyone wish to change their vote? And will the clerk please call the vote total?
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes.
All right. House Bill 1423 passes, and you're off to state and local government too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman
Chairman
Committee.
Okay. Okay, item number 4 on today's calendar is House Bill 1417 by Vice Chairman Bricken. Got a motion and a second, and we also have a resolution on this one too from a 2/3 vote. So Vice Chairman Bricken, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. This is bill is brought to me by the City of Tullahoma. It basically extends the city judge term by 1 year in order to coincide with the elections of our mayor and alderman. If we don't make this charter change, this will be the only position on the ballot, so it'll save some money. So thanks.
And thank you. We need to do that everywhere. We're running into that all over the state where there's just maybe one particular small thing. We could combine them all and do it all at one time. Anyone have questions for the sponsor? If not, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1417, putting it on the board. And please vote aye if you're in favor or no if you oppose. And with the clerk, please call the vote total.
Mr. Chairman, you have 9 ayes.
Thank you. And House Bill 1417 passes, and you're off
Thank you,
to state
Chairman,
and local
committee.
government. Thank you. And number 5. Okay, number 5 is House Bill 1419 by Representative Burkett, and we also have a resolution on this one from Montgomery County, and Representative Burkett, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. This is a local bill by Montgomery County Commission. They asked me to bring this. It passed 18-1 out of 21 members that were present that day. It's been about 12 years since we've added a general session / juvenile judge, and we're just asking for your approval. And I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you for that. And we have questions for the sponsor. Anyone? Okay, Representative Halsey, Chairman Halsey.
Just for information, what have they done for the past 12 years for Sessions Court?
Well, that we've had
Representative
one, we're just
Burkett.
adding one.
You're recognized.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're just adding one. The population's increased 57,000 since we've added one.
Chairman Hosey, anything? We're good? Okay. Anyone else have a question for the sponsor? If not, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1419. And I'll put it on the board, and all in favor, vote yes. All opposed, vote no. And would the clerk please take the vote?
Mr. Chairman, you have 10 ayes.
Okay, House Bill 1419 passes, and you're off to state and local government.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Thank you, Representative Perkins. Okay, before we close, do we have any announcements or personal orders by anyone on the committee? We've got that marked down, one against you. Okay. Anyone? Yes, Representative Davis.
I'd love to hear the senator speak for a little bit. I enjoyed that accent. You know, I'm a little bit Scotch and a little bit Irish. I like to drink, but I don't like to pay for it. So I'd like to hear his comments on that.
I agree with you completely. And yes, we're going to go out of session. And do we have to have him on?
Make a motion.
Yeah, we'd have to have a motion and a second to do it because it's really not a test of, not testifying, but just to come up and do we have a motion to do it? And to go back into session, okay. And Chairman Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion, we go out of session to hear from our guest.
Okay, and we have a second, and we got a second, motion and a second. Any objection? We're going out of session to hear from our guest, Senator Daly. Would you please come up and let's put him on which mic? Whichever one, take your pick. Just take your pick. Yeah, you can come at the dais. Yes, we'll put you up there.
Thanks.
And Senator Daly, would you tell us, your name and your position in Ireland and talk a little bit about Ireland and Tennessee?
It's a great honor to be here, Mr. Chairman. On St. Patrick's Day, of all days, to be in Tennessee. I am Senator Mark Daly. I'm the chair of the Senate in Ireland. And this is my second term as chair. There's only 3 people have served as the chairperson twice in 100 years. And as the chairman knows, that's getting chair of a committee, but getting chair of the Senate is quite a job in itself. But I suppose the links between Ireland and the United States go back all the way to your struggle for independence and even further than that. On St. Patrick's Day, during the struggle for independence, George Washington is reported to have said, when things weren't going so well for your struggle for independence, he looked at his troops that were still with him and he said, who are the strangers among us who first mustered to our staff? O Ireland's generous sons, O Ireland, O friend of my country in our most friendless days. Because you know the people who are with you when you are friendless, they're the ones that will stay with you all the time. So we look forward to celebrating the 250th anniversary of independence, which inspired the struggle for independence around the world. It took us a bit longer, you know. It was 100 years ago and a bit with it when Ireland gained its independence. And our equivalent of the Declaration of Independence was the 1916 proclamation. There is only one other country referred to by name in our Declaration of Independence, where it says, supported by her exiled children in America. Now, those without the support of the United States of America, that struggle for independence simply would not have succeeded. Our nearest neighbor has been, how would I say, a part of our island for 856 years, but who's counting? But I suppose the ongoing part that the United States continues to play is in our peace process. So without the support of the United States in 1998, when the peace process was signed, and the support of successive administration, all administrations, including the current administration, that peace process would not have succeeded, because as Bertie Ahern would have told you, he was our negotiator, he was our prime minister at the time. He said, peace isn't a moment in history. It's not when you sign it, it's when you implement it. And we were lucky enough that both he and Tony Blair, the British prime minister, were in office for the 8 years following the Good Friday Agreement, where the implementation of it, the difficult stuff, decommissioning of weapons, the changing of the police force, the release of prisoners, all of which were hugely contested and very controversial, was all done over the last 25 years, 26, 27 years now we're going into it. But there remains challenges. There are parts of Northern Ireland which are still under the control or influence of paramilitaries. So it's hard to believe that in a Western society there are still about an estimated 10,000 paramilitaries in Northern Ireland, a place with a population of 1.8 million people. Most of them are not active, only a few hundred active. But as the Independent Reporting Commission on Ending Paramilitary Violence in Northern Ireland would tell you, it doesn't take much for them to be pulled back into activity. They're involved in criminal activity, in racketeering. Sounds very much like a gang, and it is a gang, but it has this veil of and veneer of the cover that they're protecting their community, when in fact they're dealing drugs to their own communities. And we have done a lot of work in looking at other jurisdictions where those have been continue to have influence, and we can learn from each other. And that's why I'm so delighted that the chairman and with your support have established the Tennessee Ireland Trade Commission. And it's not just a trade commission, it's also an education commission, bringing the universities together to collaborate, university departments collaborating on innovation and research, having our students come here and your students going to Ireland, and learning from each other, but also in terms of, I suppose, a political connection, because we have an annual summit of the commissioners and the legislators. By the way, it can be a member of the American Irish State Legislators Caucus. It's open to everybody, those who have Irish heritage and those who are supporters of Ireland. We bring them around the college football game every August, and to look at the meeting with our companies that are looking to invest in the United States. I think Ireland, last time I was here, we were told that Ireland is the third largest investor in Nashville, that the Lonely Planet, which is a Tennessee company, has a base in Ireland. And the reason for that is we are lucky to be on the right time zone. So in that, if you're a US company and you need customer service 24 hours a day, you need to have a time zone that is somewhere between 6 to 8 hours, so that when we're finishing, you're starting, and then when you're finishing, we're starting on the other side. So that's the practicalities of being based in Ireland, and Ireland as the gateway to Europe. We are now the largest English-speaking country left in the European Union. Our nearest neighbour has decided to leave its largest trading partner with Brexit, which, to give you the scale of the consequences for that, the Bank of London had to move its headquarters to Dublin in order to continue trading in the European Union, and move 100 billion of assets out of London to Dublin. And that means, I suppose you call that opportunity, but in the history, it probably was one of the worst ideas of all time. But Northern Ireland remains part of the European Union, and that is largely to the United States of America. So while Northern Ireland is politically part of the United Kingdom, it actually remains part of the European Union for a trade point of view, tariffs. Now, I know that sounds a bit unusual, and the reason for that was because the United States and we insisted upon it, and the European Union insisted upon it. That was a very practical and very important reason, because if Northern Ireland wasn't in the European Union, you'd have to have customs checks, because we would be the front line between the European Union and the United Kingdom. So as their tariffs and regulations changed, we would have to impose tariffs at a point of contact. To give you the scale of the problem, from the border point of view, our border with Northern Ireland is about 300 miles long. There are 210 border crossings. All of them would have to be policed or shut down, which means that you would have to blow up bridges, which happened during the Troubles. And you would have to reduce that to 20 border crossings, which is about the same amount of border crossings between the European Union and the East, which is 3,000 miles long. During the Troubles, when I say there was 20 border crossings, they were heavily policed and they were protected by the British Army because they were targets. The concern was that if those border crossings came back because of Brexit, then they would be attacked and the police would have to go and protect the customs officers. Then the customs officers would have to be protected by the army as well as the police. And then you'd have a return to the Troubles all over Brexit. And US legislators at a state and federal level ensured that that didn't happen. And the British government were told that if there was a return to a hard border on the island of Ireland, and this was bipartisan support in Washington and throughout the US, that there would be no UK-US trade agreement. That has resulted in an open border between the north and the south of Ireland, which means there's great opportunities under the trade agreement because the Ireland Trade Commission is the whole island. So a company from Tennessee basing itself in Northern Ireland would have access to the UK and the EU market at the same time. And obviously access to 27 member states. So we're looking forward to building the relationship while we are glancing back at the past. We're looking forward to the future and celebrating St. Patrick's Day with you next year when we mark the 250th anniversary of Americans' struggle for independence. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for
All
having
right, thank
me
you.
here today.
I think we have some questions for you up here. I have one quick one. I know you have 60 members in your Senate, right? How
Yes.
many do you have? Do you have a House then? How many members?
174 in the House
174 in the
and
House. Wow.
60 in the Senate.
Okay.
And our election to the Senate is the most convoluted electoral system in the Western
Yeah,
world.
I remember when you went through that.
Yeah. Designed by a mathematician based on Catholic social teaching in the 1930s. Nothing could possibly go wrong with a system like that.
Okay. And Representative Cheryl, you have a question at first.
Thank you very much for being here today. It is an honor to have you as our guest today. Appreciate it very much. I'm just thinking about it, hearing about Ireland is a very beautiful place to go see. So I'm depending on our chairman, Powers, to line us up a delegation and members and come there. So we're going to depend on you to get us a good seat over there.
Well, every
Well, I
August
think,
we'll invite you over for the college football game. Chairman Powers will
Yes.
make sure.
Yes, yeah. I got to go a couple of years ago. It was a great trip and can't wait to go back. And Chairman Hawk.
Can I just remind you of something that it being Nashville and St. Patrick's Day, that Johnny Cash wrote a song about Ireland called 40 Shades of Green in 1959. And the reason we have 40 Shades of Green because we have about 40 types of rain. Like, so it's green, but we suffer for the green.
Chairman Hawk.
Thank you, Chairman. And I hope you do realize my comment about County Cork and horse thieves was a joke. So.
Oh no, I'm like technically, however, while born in County Cork, I live in County Kerry. So like technically I'm like when what is it, Wellington, who won the Battle of Waterloo, was asked about being born in Ireland. He said, just because I'm born in a stable doesn't mean I'm a horse. So we wouldn't actually claim him, to be honest with you. So like when appropriate, I'm from Cork, but mostly I'm from Kerry, to be honest with you.
And thank you.
And most Kerry people do think that Cork people are horse thieves, by the way.
So I was accurate in my
Yeah.
in my comment. I've got a dear friend from Ireland, Matty McKeever, and he and his family. He's actually there visiting right now. His father's in Port Hill, so he's visiting Ireland now. And forgive me for not knowing exactly where. I know that one of our most important flights out of Nashville Airport goes to Dublin,
Yep,
and
right.
that opens up the rest of the world to us here from Tennessee. So that is a very, very important partnership that Nashville Airport BNA has with Dublin. So it's very important to us. Tell me a little more, and you may have mentioned this: the population of Ireland. How large a country are you? Just start from there.
Yeah, so I suppose the Republic, the 26 counties in the south of the border is 5.5 million, and then Northern Ireland is about 1.8 million. But before the famine in 1845, which is why so many Irish people ended up in the United States of America, the population of the whole island was 9 million. Ireland is the only country in the world today that has less people in it than in 1845. And that's largely through the famine, which then led to chain migration. So by the time the famine was over in 1850, the population, 1.5 million people had starved to death and 1.5 million people had emigrated, mostly to the US, but some to Britain, to Australia, to New Zealand, and Argentina is our 5th largest diaspora community. And then obviously many had gone before the famine from Scotland into Northern Ireland and then on to the United States of America. So at one stage in the 1950s, the population had reduced to 2.6 million. So we were very much, and one of our head civil servants was writing to the Minister for Finance, suggesting a new economic approach called the Programme for Economic Recovery. And you know the way reports are written to get a result. So his opening line was basically that things are so bad that we should seriously consider rejoining the United Kingdom. However, if we do a program of foreign direct investment, which is and incentivizing companies, opening up Ireland to new ideas and new possibilities, but most importantly, join the European Union, because at the time, 90% of our trade was with Britain. So they controlled the price. So by joining the European Union, we were able to access new markets. So when Britain left the European Union, we didn't have to leave with them, because now we had most of our trade was with the United States and with the European Union. Made a big difference.
All right. Thank you for that. And Representative Halsey, Chairman Halsey.
Thank you. It's good to see you. Did you ever have a chance to meet Ian Paisley out of Belfast?
I did meet Ian Paisley. Now, to say Ian Paisley was a firebrand as an under. Did you meet Ian Paisley by?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, quite an interesting character, who in the end, himself and Martin McGuinness, who was in Sinn Féin and was a member of the IRA, the two of them were minister and deputy, the first prime minister and deputy prime minister in Northern Ireland. So the two sides that were diametrically opposed to each other ended up being known as the Chuckle Brothers, because every time they met and were meeting in public, they always used to make each other laugh so much, which is amazing to see that transformation between Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness, and they were able to work together on so many initiatives in Northern Ireland. In fact, his son, Ian Paisley Jr., and myself also got to know each other, and my mother rang me up one morning and says, I want to go to the opening of the Battle of the Boyne commemoration. I said, this is like all tickets, the whole government was showing up, Ian Paisley was showing up, the Prime Minister was showing up, and I get a call from my mother saying, I'd like to go this evening. I go, okay, let me make a phone call. And so the only person I could think of ringing was Ian Paisley Jr. So I rang him and he said, yeah, what's the number of the taxi your mother's getting from the train station? I said, all right. And he got my mother in, so I have Ian Paisley to thank for that. So it's, and that's the thing about the idea of the Trade Commission. You put people into a room, like diplomacy, like college football is a contact sport. You put people in the room, ideas come out of it. I think that's where you get results. It's very hard to hate people you like or you've met. You know, you can shout down TVs and over social media. We were talking to Chairman earlier about it. But when you put people in the room and they get to meet each other, and I think that was the power of the Good Friday Agreement. Do you hear how tough it was in the Good Friday Agreement for poor US Senator George Mitchell was appointed, and he said, like, with 700 days of failure and one day of success. At the start of it, and the chairman had been at some of our events in Northern Ireland where they literally would not talk to each other. In the start of the Good Friday Peace Agreement, they wouldn't sit in the same room, so they had to literally shuttle diplomacy. So the Senator Mitchell would talk to this group and then go across the corridor to talk to the other group to explain what had just been said. And then that was getting a bit tedious as things started getting towards the end. So eventually they agreed to be in the same room but not talk to each other. Right? So George Mitchell, as I understand it, had to say, well, what Representative Powers has just said, and He would repeat what was just said to the people who had just heard it, right? And they would say, well, you can tell Representative Powers. And he go, well, what they have just said, and they go over and back like this. It was like, anyway, eventually they ended up talking, but they wouldn't even go into the same radio or TV studio together. They would not do interviews in the same room at the same time. All that changed and has transformed since.
All right, thank you. And Chairman Hall?
Thank you. That's how discussions go in my family all the time. Is that not normal? So, you mentioned Senator Mitchell. I couldn't help but think of his ties to baseball. He was a huge baseball fan. I don't know if you realize that, but are you by chance a Boston Red Sox fan? Does baseball even resonate in Ireland? And I say that because we have such a large Irish contingent in that part of New England, where in the Boston area in particular, where you just think of the Irish and the Boston Red Sox. So are you a baseball fan? Or
yeah, I love baseball because it's a nice slow game and you get to watch it, and American football. But baseball is kind of like, long summer's days watching
cricket.
People. No, not cricket. No, not cricket. But baseball, we love that. But we look forward to welcoming you all in August to our summit with state legislators, and we have Kansas State versus Iowa State in Ireland. So every year there's a college football game. So we base our invites to our commissioners based on that program of events. So Notre Dame are playing Navy in Dublin in 2030. So we base our Ireland Trade Commission events and our invitations, state legislators and federal legislators. So when Notre Dame played Navy in Dublin 2 years ago, I think it was, we had the largest gathering of US federal and state legislators ever to take place outside North America, just to thank them for their support for the Good Friday Peace Agreement, but also looking to work together into the future.
Yeah, I think I heard that you had more Americans there than since World War II. There
That's
was
right.
Like
Yeah,
40,000 Americans there at that time. So, well, thank you all. Anyone? Okay, we good? Okay. Did anyone have a question or a comment? Sorry. Who?
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vice Chairman Sparks. I'm sorry.
I was going to share, I appreciate Chairman Hawk sharing the story about, I think the flight starts April 12th to Dublin, direct flight. I thought it was cool. ECD tourism was, Commissioner Ezell was talking about it, and a lot of folks are excited. I know Representative Stevens, if you don't mind me sharing, he's got a travel company and he's been to Ireland, I think, on a few occasions. And, but my mother she called herself Scotch Irish. She's from Edinburgh, right there at the bottom of the castle. But can you talk about the Irish citizenship? I met a young lady in D.C. one time, and I said, well, my grandfather's from Ireland. She said, well, you're entitled to Irish citizenship. It's 3 generations back, right?
Yeah, so it's the grandfather or grandmother rule. So if your grandmother or grandfather were born in Ireland, then you're entitled to.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Are you a big fan of Edmund Burke?
Yes, there's a statue to him outside Trinity College. He had some very profound statements.
Yeah, have you got to meet U2, Bono, any of them?
Bono, not so much.
Not so much.
No, I can't say that I met Bono. I actually met John Lewis once upon a time. I met him when he was in Dublin, and then he was walking out of his office in Capitol Hill, and I happened to be walking down the same corridors, and I said, Mr. Lewis, you give me a lovely book across the bridge and you had an inscription on it, because he was a great friend of John Hume, who was a big advocate of the peace process and won the Nobel Prize. And I said, Mr. Lewis, can I just tell you the world needs more John Lewises? And he goes, you are too kind. So the thing with Bono in Ireland is nobody is a prophet in their own land. So if Bono goes into a pub, most Irish people will ignore him because they kind of go, Bono, he thinks he's famous. And they just kind of like, hang on.
Exactly.
I won't go over to him, so he'll kind of go, oh, they don't recognize me. But of course, everyone recognizes Bono.
Thank you for your comments. Thanks for being here.
And thank you. Yeah, I hope maybe next time you can have the Celtic women perform for us.
I'll see what I can do. I'll talk to their agent and see if we could do that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? If not, we're going to go back into session. And thank you so much, Senator Daly, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we're back into session. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We got a bunch. We're adjourned. Thank you all so much.